Okay then, it's 8:05, so I think we should make a start now. Thank you again to all of you who have come in. Sorry, I know it's been a long day for you. It's been a long day for me as well, and it's 8 o'clock now, so I won't keep you as long as 9:30 like we planned on the presentation or the meeting. So you'll be glad to hear about that. What we're going to do today, first of all, can everybody hear me? Can I just have a raise of hands or a shout to make sure everybody can hear me? Yeah, good. Yeah, excellent, brilliant, that's really good. Okay, I didn't want to be talking to myself really, so anyway. Today what we're going to do, for those of you who came last time, we discussed the clinical elements of the new medicine service. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over some of the more practical elements in terms of how the NMS is actually structured and how it works. And even at this late date, it's still a work in progress, believe it or not. So I don't have all the facts at me, and to be honest with you, there are still a few things that I'm a little bit unsure of myself as well. So I'll do my best to answer any questions, but there may be things that I might need to take over to PSNC or look up myself as well. So if I don't know the answer, it's not because I'm silly or thick. Well, it might be that as well, but it's probably more likely that I haven't read up on it, or I'm not quite sure of the answer myself, so I'll have to find out. Before we start, just to let you know, we are recording it, and I'm going to be putting it on the website too, so just to make you well aware of that. I haven't put the first one on the website yet, but I'm hoping to do that by this Friday. It's been a bit of an issue with the last video, so if you weren't here last time, you can watch that at your own leisure as well. So we'll make a little start. Oh, by the way, if anybody wants to interrupt, it is a small group as well, so feel free to interrupt me at any time, or if you want to contribute, if you want to ask any questions or anything like that. All right, so and I promise you I will try and get this done by 9 o'clock at the very, very latest. So today, I know it says 9:15, but we're trying to aim for 9 o'clock. This is not intended to be a comprehensive presentation. I'll take you through something which is quite complex and needlessly complex to a certain extent in the space of about an hour or so. So I would suggest you read the CPP package. It is a 90-page document which is designed to make you go to bed or go to sleep. Oh, hold on, I just had a question here. Mayo, we've already started. Okay, hold on. I think I'll need to, bear with me 1 second. I'm going to have to take this offline for a minute. Participants. Okay. Can you hear me now, Mayo? Mayo, can you hear me? Okay.
Don't want it to be injured. That's not good.
Okay, good. All right, brilliant. Okay, so as I was saying, there's a CPP pack here as well, which you can read at your own leisure. It is 90 pages and designed to be quite, it's designed to be quite boring as well. So bear that in mind as well. So anyway, also,
okay, let's go for a walk.
Okay, I think there's somebody speaking here. Okay, anyway, I'm going to mute everybody. Bear with me a minute. Okay, that's better. Anyway, sorry about this. What we've also done is we've also provided you with, we're also going to be providing you with a third thing as well, which is some soft skills training as well. And this is going to be the third part. And what this is, we've actually partnered up with Pfizer to give you an additional training event, probably later on in the year, which is designed to help you to develop your interview skills as well as the other skills in approaching GPs and promoting this service as well. So the first part of the service you had was a clinical, which is really the last webinar. Today's going to be the structure of the service, and then you're going to have a third part. We haven't decided when it's going to be, but it's going to be designed to help you maximize this opportunity by helping develop your interview skills and and some other skills which you may not necessarily been able to develop using just these 2 webinars. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Now the background. Now, some of you who have read the PSNC the slides as well, which they've recently brought out, might find this a bit familiar. So I've taken this directly from them. But this is the whole reason as to why the NMS was actually developed. And the reason is that some research, God knows what research it was, but some research apparently was published in 2004, which showed that approximately 10 days after starting a medicine, almost 7% had completely stopped taking their medicine, which is quite a large percentage. And more importantly, 30% of those patients were actually not taking it as prescribed, were actually non-adherent. So in other words, almost a third of all patients had not taken the medication as was intended. Now, of those patients who were non-adherent, about half of them were intentionally non-adherent. In other words, for some reason, they decided for themselves that they weren't going to take this medication as prescribed. So, in other words, there's quite a lot of non-adherence and patients stopping the medicine altogether. So, this is one of the reasons why the NMS was actually developed. Okay, stop me if you want to ask any questions, yeah? Now, some important bits to the NMS. As you all know, it's an advanced service, and it's limited to March 2013. In other words, what they're going to do is they're going to reevaluate, well, the Department of Health is going to reevaluate in 2013 as to whether or not they want to continue the service.
Like to start, Pippin?
Sorry? Can you hear me? Hold on.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, it's just that somebody's just asked when I'm going to be starting again, so I'm gonna just turn this off now from now on. Yeah, sorry about this. Okay, there we go. So anyway, now, yeah, and for the NMS itself, it's going to be starting on the 1st of October, and hence all the activity that you've been seeing from all the other organizations. And it is an extremely tight deadline as well to hit. So hopefully this will set the seeds in place for you to be up and running on the 1st of October. Now, I'm not going to go into this in a lot of detail, but globally, there was 55 million that was put aside in 2011-12 and 2012-13. And in 2011-12, there's an implementation payment of £750 that you can all claim. And you can claim that once you've done 6 NMSs. Now, that is just a one-off payment. In 2012-13, and from 2012-13, there'll be just target payments. So 2011-12, you'll have target payments and an implementation payment. And from 2012-13 onwards, you'll just get the target payment, which I'll go into a bit more detail in a bit. Now, target payments will depend on the activity thresholds, which will be related to your prescription volume. Now, I've got a table here, which, again, I'll be putting this up on the internet, so you don't need to write this down. But I'll leave this on for a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, so you can actually see the sorts of payments that you would be most likely to receive. So, for example, if you're a pharmacy that was dispensing between, say, if I just annotate this, bear with me, between 3,500 and 4,500, and you did between 4 and 7 NMSs, you're going to get £100. If you do between 8 and 11, you're going to get £200. If you do between 12 and 15, you're going to get £300, and so forth. The maximum you're going to be able to get if you are this sort of pharmacy is going to be £400 per month. So it's not actually based upon the a payment based upon each individual intervention you do, but it's actually clustered. So you could actually, in fact, do 7 here, but still get £100. So bear that in mind. It's not payment that you claim per intervention. There's a range in it as well. So it's a little bit complicated, but unfortunately that's the way it is. Okay. Now, what is the service specification for the NMS? Now, there is 3 stages in total. The first stage is something called patient engagement, which is, in other words, the stage whereby you get the patient involved in the first place. And once you got the patient involved, there is the intervention itself, and they've suggested that approximately 2 weeks into this, you give them the intervention. And then the final stage is a follow-up, which is around about a month or so after the day you engage this patient. So it's a 3-step process. So for step 1, the engagement. Now, I'm going to go into the annotation again. Here we are. Now, it's only for these 4 conditions. So for asthma, COPD, diabetes type 2, antiplatelet, anticoagulant therapy, and hypertension. It's not for anything else, which is a bit of a shame, really. So, for example, it's not for high blood. Actually, it's for high blood pressure. It's not for things like gastrointestinal diseases or anything like that. It's just for these 4 conditions. And to put more restrictions on in place, it doesn't. If it's simply a dosage change or a formulation change. So, for example, if a patient was taking Losartan 25 and it was increased to 50, you are not going to be able to do this service for that reason. You're going to have to. It's going to have to be a new medication that patient's actually being prescribed. Now, the recruitment itself for the engagement stage is through the pharmacy or via referral. And this is one of the reasons why it suggests that you talk to your GPs first before starting the service, so they can possibly refer patients into this service or into your pharmacy as well. So at the engagement, what you do is you dispense the prescription and you provide the appropriate advice. And as said earlier, this medication must not previously have been a product that they have been given from a community pharmacy in the past. Does anybody want to ask anything or say anything before I carry on? No? Okay. Okay, but feel free to stop me at any time. All right, so let's move on. Now, if the patient qualifies for this service, what you do is you provide them with information on the leaflet. So you've got a leaflet, and that's actually going to be published by PSNC. And the use of that text isn't mandatory, so you can actually design your own leaflet if you need it, but it's going to be published very soon if it hasn't already. What you also need is you need written consent from the patient to go onto the service, and again, the PSNC are going to be issuing a form. And finally, what you need to do is you need to agree a time and a method for the intervention. Now, the intervention can be by phone, or it could be in the pharmacy itself, which is slightly different from the medicines use review, whereby they recommend that it's simply just the pharmacy, unless there's an urgent reason behind it. You can do it by phone, or you can do it in the pharmacy if you need to. Okay. Now, okay, this is the engagement. Does anybody want me to stop here to ask any questions? No? Okay. Right. This is the second stage of the service now. Now we're getting into the intervention. So the intervention is going to be typically from day 7 to 14. It's a face-to-face consultation, as we said earlier, or it could be by the phone, and it's a semi-structured interview. Now, what we've done as well as PharmPlus, we've developed a SOP for you. We still need to do some proof checks to it. But you will be getting this SOP with all the structured questions and everything that you need to answer, or the patient needs to answer, very shortly. So please be on the lookout for that. It's got everything you need in there. So it's a semi-structured interview with a question sheet in it, which you just need to ask. Now, there's 3 stages to it. So, for example, after you've provided the advice, what you need to do is you need to agree a follow-up time. you need to agree a solution to the issues that are being raised, or you refer it back to the GP. These are sort of three areas, three things that you would need to do. And finally, what you would do is you'd make a record of it on the data set. Now, again, you know, because of various issues, I don't know why, but they're still developing the worksheet, so you can actually take notes in the discussion. But that is actually being developed as we speak now. There's still quite a few things that are being developed. So essentially, you provide the advice. There's three things that you can do here, and finally, you would need to make a record of it. Now, this is the follow-up, which is the final stage, and it's typically between 14 to 21 days. And again, it can be over the phone or in the consultation area, and again, it's a semi-structured interview as well, similar to the intervention. And again, you do a similar sort of thing. So you just decide whether the patient's adherent or not adherent, and you decide an appropriate course of action here. And again, you need to make a record, and the worksheet is being published again. And that really is it. So before I move on, does anybody want to ask any questions on the three stages? Or have any comments on it? No? Okay. Right. The requirements. Now, in order to start doing the MUR, so the NMS, you're going to have certain things in place. You're going to have a consultation area, which is the same as the one that you're doing for your MURs, and I think everybody at Pharma Plus has got a consultation area. So this, in effect, is null and void for most of you, if not everybody. There is technically no limit to the number of NMS interventions you can make, although bear in mind that there is a payment limitation. Now, what you would also need to do is you would need to self-assess yourself and send a declaration to the PCT. Now, the CPP tool is a good one to start off here. I mean, you can use this as your basis as well as presentation, but you do need to tell the PCT that you believe that you are okay, or you believe yourself competent to provide this service. Remember, we mentioned earlier on communication with GPs as well. You're required to actually tell the GPs that you're providing the service. I mean, that makes perfect business sense as well. You're obviously going to want them to refer into your system and refer into your service, so it'll make good sense to do that as well. And you're going to need to fill in a report to the PCT 4 times a year, and I think the form for that is being developed as we speak. And also, you're going to need to have a SOP in place, but don't worry about that. We've already developed one, and it's just going to the final check stages now, and you should get that hopefully by early next week. So really, the sorts of things, the three things that you're going to need to be aware of. Well, you've got the consultation area, you'll have the SOP, but you're going to need to do at least these 3 or 4 things here. Okay. Now, DNAs. Now, DNAs is not deoxyribonucleic acid. It's do not attend. So what you're gonna face inevitably is a situation where a number of patients will either refuse to go onto the service, or may drop out halfway, or for whatever reason don't turn up, don't pick up the phone, or whatever. And this table here, again, we're going to be putting this on the internet as well on our website, basically gives you an idea as to when an NMS is complete and when it's not complete. So, for example, if the patient at the recruitment stage simply refuses to go onto the service, that's obviously going to be a no. They don't want to go into the service. If they did not attend the appointment and you already tried to contact them but fail, again, it's not an NMS service. You can't actually claim for that. If the patient can't be reached at the appropriate time, again, it's not part of the NMS service. Bearing in mind this is at the intervention stage. This, I think, is quite unfair, but it's something that we have to pull out. If the patient attends the appointment and is taking multiple medicines, and you decide that the patient has a problem with one of the medicines which requires a referral to the GP practice, but the other medicines do not require referral, unfortunately, that's a no, which I don't think that's right, but I'm afraid that's what it is. And finally, at the I think that's finally at the intervention stage. What does constitute an NMS is if the patient attends the appointment and is taking multiple medicines, but the patient has a problem with all the medicines, which requires a referral to the GP practice, and that for some reason is classified as a complete NMS. So try working out the difference between these two. I don't know, but I'm afraid that's the way it is by the look of it. Any questions on that? No. Okay. Now, all these other bits from the follow-up onwards do constitute the completion of an NMS. So, for example, if the patient does not attend the appointment at the follow-up stage, and you try to contact the patient, that is a completed NMS. If the patient can't be reached at the follow-up stage, and you do try to contact them, then that still is complete. If he or she attends a telephone consultation, but there's no problems, that constitutes a complete. And finally, if you discover that there's more problems at the follow-up stage, that is complete. So really, the issues tend to be more at the intervention stage, and it's worthwhile bearing these ones in mind when you do the NMS. Now, that is essentially when you can't claim for a particular payment. Now, how do you claim for the payment? Now, this is obviously quite an important one for you lot. First of all, you must notify the PCT prior to providing the NMS. In other words, there is a form I think the PSNC will be providing to you that you just need to fill in and send over to the PCT. Make sure you claim your £750 as well for the implementation only after you have completed the first 6 NMS services. The target payments will be made by the Prescription Services Authority, and you will need to claim that on the FP34C like you do with your MURs at the moment. So for this year, remember, you're going to get the £750 here, and you're going to get the target payments. Next year, you're only going to get the target payments. So what do you need to do now? There's several things at the moment. First of all, it's a good idea to read the outline service specification as well. It's available on the PSNC website, but it's a good idea for you to actually read that as well. What I've done is I've tried to extract the main things from there. And there's also some guidance as well, which the PSNC has issued. Now, what I've done for you lot, I sent it through a while back, and I'm going to be putting it on the website. I've created a mind map for you, which condenses all this into one A4 sheet. I haven't got it with me at the moment. Well, I might be able to find it a bit later on, but it just condenses everything into one, so you don't really need to do much more than really read through that. Read through the CPPE pack, and also, if possible, attend the NMS workshop from the CPPE as well, if they've got space and if you've got time to do that. Now, other things you need to do, you need to fill in the self-assessment form when you feel confident enough to do so. Now, you need to develop a SOP. Now, we've done that for you, so don't worry too much about that. Train your pharmacy team on the service. And what you need to do as well, if you're going to be doing the service, you need to plan how you're going to operate it in the pharmacy as well. And also, you're going to get a lot of paperwork that you need to fill in, as we discussed earlier. You're going to need to figure out a way of how you're going to complete that as well. Now, the other thing you need to do, contact your GP. Now, I'm not too sure about this bit here, the pharma place. I don't think it's mandatory, but it might be worth your while just logging into there and seeing whether or not that's been updated and playing about with it. Notify the PC when you're ready to start. And as I said earlier on, claim your £750 payment once you complete the first 6. And the PSNC has stated that the form will be published very soon. And that really is about it for the NMS service. So I've gone over it very, very quickly, but I'm gonna open up the floor now. So if anybody wants to start the ball rolling by asking questions, that'd be really, really helpful. I'm gonna take this offline for the moment, so you're not gonna be able to see my screen. but can we, okay, right, okay, I've got some questions here. We've got, can you provide a template letter to inform GPs about the service? Yep, we can do that. There's no problem at all. And we've been also asked the thing, can I see the first slide again, re non-adherent versus time? Sorry, I'm not quite sure which one you mean. I'll show you which one it is. I think, oh, is it, it's the table. Is it this one here, isn't it? Okay, Kaushik, you asked that question. Is there anything you want to see about that one? Or say about it? No? Okay. Please, somebody ask a question. Can you do another NMS if a pharmacy has dispensed the prescription? Remember, actually, you know what? I don't know. Is the answer to that? I'll find out. I will check up for you. But bearing in mind the fact that it needs to be the first time it's been dispensed in a community pharmacy. So I don't see there being a reason why another pharmacy has dispensed it and you can't do the NMS. No, the first, okay, sorry, the first slide you want to see. Sorry, Kaushik, okay. Let's put the first slide on. Is it this one? Okay, good. Is there any particular question you want to ask about that, Kaushik? Okay, right, okay. I take this, I take it plus new hospital prescriptions only. Yeah, I suppose well, it could do. It could be the first time that it's been prescribed in primary care. So it could be that a GP's prescribed it for you as well. And it's really the main thing is it's the first time it's been taken in community pharmacy. So the only, if I can find the thing here, bear with me a minute. It's the first time. Here you go. It must not have previously had the product from a community pharmacy in the past. So yes, it could be new hospital prescriptions, but it could probably be primary care prescriptions as well, as long as it's the first time they've had it. Okay. Anybody else want to text me any more questions? Have any PMR vendors done any work on the software? Again, I'm not sure. I will find out for you. I'll have a word with our suppliers and I'll see what we can do. Can it be done for one or two items only? Yes, as long as it's the first time they're having it in the community pharmacy. Any more? Okay, now I've got a couple more slides. Keep your questions till a bit later, and I'll answer them in a bit. I've got a few more slides on the changes in the contract as well. I thought to myself it would be a good idea for me to go over a few things with you with regards to targeted MURs now as well. A lot of people are going on now about things like the NMS only, but there have actually been a few changes to the MURs as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over now some bits of the MUR service and some of the changes that have actually occurred on this as well. Okay. All right. So anyway, the first thing is that we've got 50% of these need to be in the following areas. So we've got high-risk medicines. We've got, and these would include things like the NSAIDs, anticoagulants, antiplatelets, and diuretics. The other areas which 50% must come from is recently discharged from hospital, ideally within 4 weeks, and patients with asthma or COPD. So in other words, we've got things like adrenal receptor antagonists, antimuscarinics, theophylline, bronchodilators, corticosteroids, and chromoglycates. So 50% of all MURs must come from one of these categories now. If you think about it, most of these will fall into them, or a lot of them will, but for some reason they've decided that asthma and COPD must be in here. I don't understand why they haven't put things like diabetes patients or anything like that, or hypertensive patients, but for some reason that's what's happened. So that is a big change that's happened with the targeted MURs, which will be starting soon. Now, there also have been some changes as well to clinical governance as well, and we've provided you with mind maps to this as well to sort of like crystallize the changes as well. But what I've done is I've also summarized it a bit here. There are a few things that you're going to need to do. The adverts, any advert that you place which promotes an NHS service needs to, so I've got a typo here, but it needs to acknowledge that there's NHS funding for that service. So for example, if you decide to publicize your minor ailment service, if you have one, if the PC hasn't taken it away already, then unfortunately you're going to have to say to them, or fortunately maybe, that it's actually funded by the NHS, which might be a good one, that one actually. But that's just something there that you need to bear in mind. So any adverts or any leaflets or anything like that you do needs to acknowledge the NHS as the funder if that's applicable. Now the survey, the patient survey, you must now publish the results. That's in line with what's going on with GP practices at the moment. So for example, if you already get an external company to do that, you can publish it that way. Or what you could do is just write a short report and publish it that way. Now you could even do it on your website if it produces good results, which I'm sure it will, and it could go a good way to promoting your pharmacy as well. There's actually a need of a whistleblowing stop. Now we've developed one now, so that should be with you again at the end of next week. Safety notices, so things like the MPSA alerts, the MHRA alerts, for example, the Nurofen Plus issue that happened it must have been about a month ago now. You need to be able to produce evidence that you actioned it. I don't know how you're going to do that. It might be that you just signed it and put it into a folder saying, yep, we actioned it. But you need to be able to produce evidence to an inspector that you've actually done that. So if you just simply bin the alerts after they come in, it's probably not going to be acceptable. You're probably going to need to file it and maybe just give a note or two that you've looked at everything and put it away. Now, there's a clause here for separation of environments. Now, what it means here is that there needs to be a clear distinction between the professional and the non-professional areas in the pharmacy. So from my understanding, that means there needs to be a clear distinction between the dispensary and probably the non-dispensary or the non-medical side of things, which in almost every single pharmacy is applicable anyway. So I don't know why they've actually put that in here, but I suppose that could be after they've seen a few pharmacies which didn't really have that in place, but there needs to be that. I can't imagine any of you have or will have any issues with that. And they've also included some timescales as well. Timescales are 6 months to comply, so you're going to have 6 months to comply with the adverts, the survey, the whistleblowing stop, which you'll have by next week, the safety notices, and the separation of environment. Now, again, I don't think that one there would be the one to concern me the most, the separation of environment, because it could involve a cost. But I don't think that any of you here would have an issue with that. So really, that is a very, very speedy tour through the changes in the contract that are about to hit us all. And I've just been given some more questions. It says here, I was hoping that this presentation would show a service that would be the same at whichever member provided a service, i.e. like McDonald's, same burger, different city. Yeah, I mean that I can do that as well. What we'll do is the SOP that I'm producing to you would hopefully standardize the service as well. If you want something like that, I can do that. We will monitor the 50% compliance of corrected MUR, corrected targeted MURs. I think that'll be the PCT personally, but if you think about it, most of the MURs that you do will probably be from those areas anyway. I mean, I don't think they're going to take up too much in this year if you hit 48% or 40%, but I presume that's going to be the PCT who's going to be doing that. So Kaushik, what I can do is if I take you offline, maybe give you a ring tomorrow, and ask you exactly what it is that you would like from us in terms of maybe how you would like me to present a standard service to you lot, then perhaps we could do that, and I might give you a ring tomorrow or sometime during the week if that's okay with you. Thank you very much for your number. Thanks. Okay, is anybody else got any other questions at all? Now's the time to speak or type. Okay, brilliant. All right, I'm going to call. I mean, it's actually I finished very early today, so hopefully you found that useful. Just to let you know as well, this is the second part of the series. Now, what we're hoping to do is later on in. Sorry, here we go. If we don't do this properly, the multiples will take over. Yep, that's what they've done with the MURs as well, haven't they? But yeah, I can see that happening. Okay, another question: can NMR be done if problem with it can only be done if there's a problem with the medication? No, it can be done the first time that they're taking that medication. The whole idea is that you want to discover whether or not there's a problem with taking that medication. Now, what I haven't figured out quite yet, and this is something that I need to look into, is things like acute things like, for example, antibiotics, amoxicillin. Are you really going to do an NMS with that? So, a new medicines review or NMS. So, I need to look into that in a bit more detail. I can see that there's potential for there to be an issue there. So, I will try and get an answer to you with regards to that one. Any other questions? Okay, so as I said, there's going to be a third part in the series that we'll hopefully do later on in the year. That's going to take into account soft skills. So we'll be teaching you how to do interview techniques, how to go and work with the GPs. We're also please don't forget we've got a conference coming up on the 23rd, whereby we're going to be discussing the NMS on a one-to-one basis. So we'll be able to have an interactive session with you on the 23rd, and we've got Bina there as well, who did the first one. So if you've got any questions, you're welcome to ask her as well. Okay, so I've got one more question. Cannot Pharma Plus advertise this as a corporate service? Yeah, I suppose we could do that if you want. Perhaps if you can give us some suggestions as to how you want us to do that, Regina, then by all means, I'm happy to take that up further as well. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of the members would appreciate that as well. So is that okay if I give you a ring on that one as well and talk to you about how you would like that done? Okay, okay, brilliant. Okay, so what I'll do is he said yes. So what I'll do is I'll try and give you a ring by the end of the week, and perhaps we can discuss a way in which we can move that bit forward as well. Okay, so unless there's any other questions, what I'll do is I'll draw this to a close. I know you've all had a hard day. I'm going to be putting this up onto the website tomorrow or by the end of the week. So if you've missed anything, by all means, have a look on the website for the first part and the second part, and it should be there. So again, thank you very much for all your time and effort in this, and hopefully we'll have another one of these very soon. And thank you very much, Ajinka. I enjoyed it as well. Thank you very much, yeah? So I'll speak to you a lot soon. Take care. Bye-bye.